Well, we're cleaning out sheds today, getting rid of the bedding full of shit and straw, and pouring the rain as per usual. And I was dry. I went and emptied the trailer load, and then drove back up through the yard. Got right to the top of the tipping point of the yard, and the trailer just starts rolling away from the tractor and pulls all the pipes out. Welcome back to this farming funny podcast.
It's so full of shit.
We're joined with straight off the ski slopes of Cloisters, where he's been away for 2 weeks with the Royals, Sandy Kirkpatrick, and
Good
Big
evening.
Jim, who has also been in Cloisters with the Royals, ignoring Sandy Kirkpatrick in the pubs. Big Jim.
I wasn't a big enough name for the ginger juggernaut.
But no. It's the thought of you skiing though, Jim. I mean, I imagine you're one of these skiers that only knows Route 1. And if you've got 120 kilos coming down a ski slope at 70 mile an hour, God help any ski school or children under the age of about 16. But like a fucking wrecking ball.
I'm not gonna lie, you've absolutely nailed it on the head, right? You've nailed it on the head. The only thing you got wrong is I'm 130 kilos, not 120.
Well, there you go.
So as I went out with the boy, I always say, like, I always watch people coming down these like red runs and they look very controlled and they manage to control their speed all the way down, but they don't look as though they're working hard on the skis. They're just turning and turning. I honestly point them, and I am literally like a cannonball. So my record's 118 kilometers an hour, right? So that was like 8 or 9 years ago, and I was like, right, I want to try and get that again. So I was just one run.
Do you not get like the ski police after you with the speeds like that?
It's called ski patrol, Sandy. I thought you were just going on a ski holiday. Ski police? What the fuck are you on about?
Oh, simmer down, Ski Sunday. Fuck off.
So anyway, we're in the resort Teens, right? And if anyone's been to Teens, they'll know the most amazing Appy bar called Coco Rico's, which is just outrageous.
I think it's pronounced teen, Jim.
Oh, right, whatever.
I got back Sandy on that one.
Yeah,
thanks, Nick.
Anyway, downside Coco Rico's is a big long lift that takes you way up towards like the glacier direction. And as we're going up it, the chairlift, some of the pylons go split the middle of the slope, and I'm looking at it going, this is pretty quiet, and there's a bit of a flat bit down here. So I was like, that's a red run. I was like, right, that's where I'm going to try it. So just remember, right, that's the corner where I can start to go for it. So and the chairlift keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, and on it for another 15 minutes. So we start skiing down. And that way where you ski for a while and everybody stops because nobody wants to admit that their legs are hurting, but you all kind of stop anyway for a wee minute. Yeah, you wait till the last person just gets there, and then you go again.
Yeah, that person never gets a break.
And anyway, so like we set off, and I was like, right, here it comes. This is it. Come around this slight bend, and it dips way down. And I was like, right, go. And I stuck to the side, and I just went for it. Well, little did I know, I misjudged it one slope too early, and it kind of plateaued off for about 10 meters and then dropped away again. So I went down this ledge, took off a wee bit, but not much. But it was just, natural. It wasn't a jump or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I am not joking you. I was absolutely cannoning down this hill. I mean, I was going like the clappers to the point where I was having to look like probably about 100, 150 meters out in front of me to figure out how I was going to manage to like just get my like slowing down. I eventually managed to get stopped, and I was like, oh my God. And I pulled my phone out of my pocket to check my speed. And it was like 99 kilometers an hour. And I was like, so it's like 60 mile an hour. And I was like, I'm sorry, but that is the fastest I have ever been. So that was fine. And I got a bit of a shock. I was like, that's quick. So I kind of toned it down a bit. It's still bombing on a fair bit. Last day, okay. I come off the chairlift. I'm always at the bottom. I'm always roasting, so my gloves come off, my hat comes off. I'm sweat's pouring off of me. The heat's coming off me like I'm taking a beast inside in the winter, you know. And get to the top. So the boys set off, and I'm starting to put my gloves back on. So I fly down, get past Richie Walker, get past my pal Gillen, and Niv was out in front of me. And Niv was on the left-hand side of the slope, going left and right, left and right, left and right. And he's a fast skier as well. We're pretty similar skiers. And I was like, right, I can see what he's doing. I'm going to stick to the right-hand side, and I'm going to bomb past him. Well, this one time he decided to turn right. He didn't stop turning right. He didn't turn left again, and he started coming across the slope. Now, it's not his fault in the slightest. He'll probably be listening to this, so it's 100% my fault. But I thought...
It sounds like there's a fallout on holiday about this.
No. I thought, I'm going to turn left here. I'm not going to turn left because he will turn back left at one point. I never fucking turned left, did he? And we belted into each other. There was no one else on the slope. A big white
Did you crash into him?
Oh, full blown.
Like full blown.
Imagine the snowball it created.
Well, my phone clocked 75 kilometers an hour.
Oh, Jesus.
And so, but thankfully, because we were tapering in the same direction, the blow's not like, it's not so. So he kind of went in front of me and fell over, and I fell over. Well, my thigh, the side of my thigh, landed on the back of my binding on the ski.
Oh.
And I'm not joking you. I couldn't move my leg for 10 minutes. I couldn't.
I'm not surprised. Oh dear.
And I had this French guy came down and stopped and was like shouting at like, "You need help! You need help!" I said, "No, I'm fine. And I kind of.
I'm a farmer from Dundee. I didn't need help for fuck's sake.
I know. I'm in the middle of the slope, like full like starfish. Niv's lying at the side of the slope, just laughing, right? Richie Walker and Gillen coming over the top of the hill. Richie was telling me my skis were about 50, 70 metres behind me. I was way down the slope. And they came down. Everyone's laughing at me. I was like, I couldn't stand on my leg. I was like, fuck, pain. Oh my God.
Can I just ask a question? How the hell are you getting signed off for a lad's ski trip?
I was going to say, that is outrageous.
Honestly,
I mean, what is going on here?
I broached the subject at Christmas time, like broached it. I was like, just started to drop in a couple of fields. I was like, it'd be really good, I've missed my skiing, it'd be really good to get away skiing again. And then I was about to like message a couple of the boys to see if we want to go for a last minute thing, and then Richie texted, and I was like, I said, Alex, well, Richie's texting if we wanted to go to skiing. And she was like, oh, you definitely should. Just go. And I was like, oh, no bother. So,
right, done. Flight's booked. I'm out the door.
Well played,
to put it in context, Jim, we haven't been away. We used to ski every year before we had kids.
Can I just say, I can imagine Sandy on the slopes being like those old French guys who've got like proper poncy, style, going down the outside, shoosh.
Nick, I'm one of those lads that...
I bet he wears a onesie. I bet.
Yeah. Aye.
And it's white with a little belt on it.
And it's got a funny neck. Got a funny neck.
Do you know those boys that have got the bindings with the boot lifts off the back of the ski? One of those boys is... go to the side of a fucking St. Bernard dog with a little casket around his neck, got some whiskey in it. Not that I'm drinking it, mind you. But to put this in context, though, Jim, we used to go skiing every year, and then since we have kids, that was the first time. Last week was the first time we went skiing for 10 years. So the fact that you can get away for a fucking ski holiday is impressive, I will say.
Yeah.
Well done.
It was good. But it was definitely noticed a big change in the
fitness levels.
No, the tone of the like the speed on the booze are definitely like, we didn't really drink much on the slopes. We came off, we had a ski in, ski out hotel, so we skied in. Went
Of course,
for an
you're
hour.
a farmer.
Of course he did.
You don't have ski in, ski out.
went for a nice swim in the pool for an hour and a bit.
Of
Changed.
course he did. Of course he did.
I
Interestingly,
thought the chef would be in the chalet. I'm a bit disappointed you had to go out for dinner.
I know. It was a
serving to him on a silver platter.
Liquid dinner.
Yeah,
Of course. Yeah. Talking about accidents, though, we were there for 5 days.
Did you go with the lad Sandy, or is it just
no?
I
went with the better half.
Nice.
So just the two of us, no kids. So that made it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No, we didn't. No, 5 days, mate.
All right.
Mum and Dad came down to look after them, which is lovely. But in 5 days, we saw 3 people getting helicoptered off the slopes because of crashes and injuries. And it turned out, I read in the news, one guy.
One of them was Big Jim with his short legs.
Helicopter? I don't need a helicopter. I'll walk it back in, boys. But there was three folk get helicoptered off, and one of them ended up dying. Carnage.
Oh, that's a nice story.
Carnage.
Nice Mary
Thanks
story.
very much. Yeah.
But
it was we got there on the Monday lunchtime, and there was at the hotel there was 2 feet of snow, but up in the mountains there was over 1 meter of snow fell in 24 hours, and it was just absolutely carnage. And they had to close half the resort on the Tuesday because of avalanche. But the boys in the Peace Bashers, there was a lad came back out at 6:30 in the morning. Well, no, I watched one of the boys on the Tuesday night.
I bet your missus hated going on holiday with you. Just you going, that's the Peace Basher 6000. Have you seen the blades on that? They're the 4.7 meter blades. Oh my goodness! Look at the tracks on it.
Just remind me to go skiing with you and not Nick, Jim. Someone who actually appreciates decent kit.
Do you think if I put my thumb out, the guy would give me a lift up and down the hill?
Hey, sir, what are these? Can I do a promotional video for you?
I brought you some hot chocolates and some croissants.
Do you know how you can actually go and get a ride in one of them and go with the boys at night? It was like €180. I was like, fuck that.
Take my money.
Used to be my that used to be my lift to work every day when I worked in New Zealand, gents.
Oh, what's that?
I'm back of a Peace Basher.
Is that right?
There you go, mate. I used to be a de-icer in New Zealand.
Oh, well, there you go. On the Tuesday night when it was it was seriously cut up, massive mounds of snow. It was a right steep bit outside the hotel. This lad had the winch on. He'd one of those, it wasn't quite an 800 like that, but it was like a 600. And he was sliding about all over the place. Like, even with a winch, there's a fucking serious amount of snow. And that's why you need 600 plus horse, because it gets fairly fucking hairy out there, Nick. Tell you boy. real man's country.
Yeah, to be fair, that is real man's country.
That is man's country.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
Dear.
We should maybe talk about farming, because maybe not all the listeners like talking about Andy's holiday in Cloisters.
For reference, it was actually in Zermatt in Switzerland, but you're close, Nick. What's your latest episode of drama then, Nick?
Oh fuck. Well, we're cleaning out sheds today, getting rid of the bedding full of shit and straw, and pouring the rain as per usual. And I was dry. I went and emptied the trailer load, and then drove back up through the yard. Got right to the top of the tipping point of the yard, and the trailer just starts rolling away from the tractor, and pulls all the pipes out. And wipes out the tool shed wall, like wipes it out, like brick wall, completely wipes it out. And the only reason it doesn't wipe out the next shed, which is aiming straight at, the bits that hold up the thread, is because there was so much stone came off the wall that the tires actually got stuck on the big stones that came off the wall. So
was a trailer full of shite? Was it full of shite?
No, it's completely empty, but it had popped off the.
What are your thoughts here, Jim? I'm quite keen to hear what you've got to say to this.
I'll send you a forward tomorrow, Jim. I'll make you laugh.
No comment.
So what? The trailer
That
had
was
popped
a-
off the hitch. Is it because it was so worn on the hook that it just?
I actually don't know what happened because before this, I had taken a load out and had it fully upright, emptying, and it hadn't come
Right.
off the hitch. So I generally don't know what happened. I don't know if something went wrong, or I mean, you can't really lean against the spools, so I don't really know what happened. But anyway, yeah, shit happens. But it's happened
'Cause
to
I-
three. So.
I remember. Sorry, what was your other two then? Well, your
Uh,
Heptavac being out.
Yeah, can't buy Heptavac in the UK at the moment. That's a bit of a problem. A few other things that I can't really talk about, but yeah,
Okay.
a couple other things.
Confidential.
Confidential.
What's been happening up in God's country then, Jim?
God's country. What the fuck? You're from Sanka, mate.
That's man's country, Nick. Man's
Yeah,
country.
true.
You boys
Yeah.
don't know you're born down those luscious green pastures of Castle Douglas and Newtonstewart.
Come on, John. What's
Yeah.
going on, son?
I had a pretty trying week last week, I must admit. So as I was brushing my teeth on Monday night about 10:30, I got a text message from that delightful biogas.
Oh,
fucking
you're
thing.
joking. Again?
Engine down, and I was like, oh, right, okay. So I can now log on to both computers to reset the alarms on both to get it going. So I logged on and I was like, oh, high spark duration and cylinder rate. But the alarm instantly went from red to green. So I was like, green means that you reset it and it's fine. So I tried to reset it and it tried to start a couple of times and it wouldn't start. And I thought, that's interesting. Usually if she goes off and everything's warm, it should fire back up no problem. So I was like, right, go into the bedroom, get my clothes on, way off along the road, get there, and I'm like, that's interesting. So I started it, and I changed a thing called an HT lead, so it goes from your ignition coils onto your spark plug. So I was like, maybe it's a dodgy ignition coil. HT lead, stick it on there, cranked it, and finally she started running. I was like, all right, okay. And then it basically, what it has to do is the generator needs to synchronize with the grid. So it needs to have all the same, like the frequency has to match exactly the frequency of the grid to allow it to then trigger in and start producing electricity. So it finds the frequency of the grid and then starts producing electricity. So then what happens, it starts to ramp up. So it starts, the minute it synchronizes and it locks into the grid, you know, start 1 kilowatt, 5 kilowatts, 8 kilowatts, blah, blah, blah. And it was going up, and it got to about 140 kilowatts. And then I was like, that's a different tone coming from the engine. And I was like, I don't like this. So I shut it down. It took off this big guard that goes over the exhaust manifold, stripped that off to see if I could see any sort of leaking oil or any leaking glycol coming from the cylinder head gaskets. And I was like, no, I don't see anything. I was like, look, it's too late at night to look into this. I'm going to look into it in the morning because I think we've got a bigger problem here. So I sent a text message to my guy who runs the plant. I said, look, strip out all the spark plugs in the morning and I'll come in. And I've got this thing called a boroscope, so I can go inside the cylinders and have inspect it myself now. So anyway, it starts taking out all the spark plugs. And he sends me a message going, I can't, cylinder 8 spark plugs, I can't get it out. It's gone solid. And I was like, maybe what's happened is overnight, because the engine's gone off, the metal's sort of welded itself to the spark plug. So anyway, I come in and have a feel with the ratchet, and I was like, well, that's tight. And then next thing I know, I break the socket with the spark plug in the head, and I was like, oh, well, this is a problem. This head's going to have to come off. So anyway, start stripping the head off, the cylinder head off. Next thing we know, 2 of the valves, so each cylinder head's got 4 valves that work in a particular order to let the exhaust gases out, let the fuel and the air in, and then they all shut when it ignites, blah, blah, blah. So it's going through its cycle. 2 of the valves were broken off inside, and because the piston comes up so close to the cylinder head, these valves in there had knocked the hell out of the piston. The cylinder head was completely knackered. So we took it off. Thankfully, we had a spare piston in stock, and then so you have to strip the whole engine. You have to take the oil sump off the bottom. You have to take the big end bearings off. You have to take the con rod out. It's got the piston on it. Throw it out. Then you've got to take the cylinder liner out that protects which basically is what guides the piston up and down. So did all this, and this is the first time I've done that job myself without the mechanic company, because they couldn't get to me for like 2 or 3 days, and the downtime is just too much loss of revenue. So anyway, I was like, right, shit, okay, let's get on with this then, and I just got stuck into it. And I had a guy there with me, he's been our local sort of blacksmith sort of kind of guy for years. He's a saint, and he's into tractor pulling and all that, and so he knows a lot about engines. So I had him with me, So stripped it, right, okay, right, we found one of the valves, but we couldn't find the other one, so we had to strip a lot more of the engine, and eventually found this other valve, right? But it all went the way we thought it was going to go. The cylinder head, and it would put it out through the exhaust manifold, right? So we found it. Right, let's build this all back together tomorrow. So that was Wednesday. Started building it all back together on Wednesday. And about 6, 7 o'clock at night, Thursday, sorry, that was Thursday, but it's 5, 6 o'clock at night, started the engine up. And I'd already phoned the service company to be like, look, I need another set of spare parts for it. And she was like, don't worry, I've already preempted. I've ordered them. They've come in today. I'll ship them out tomorrow morning. Right, that's fine. Start the engine up. Runs for about 15 minutes. Next thing I hear this, knock, this chapping noise. And we all knew what had happened. The minute I heard that noise, I was like, it's done it again. It's fucking done it again with another cylinder. So we found the cylinder, took the spark plug out, put the boroscope in. What had happened was a bit of metal from the original failure had gone, which seemingly is impossible, went back up the way that the air and the fuel is getting blown in. So it's fighting against not only pressure, but also gravity, because the fuel and the air is coming down into the cylinder head. So this bit of metal's gone up. And then when I've tried to start it, it's gone right along to the end of the manifold and couldn't go any further and gone round the bend and into cylinder 12.
Jesus Christ.
So Thursday night, I'm thinking, well, if they're shipping the parts tomorrow morning, I don't get them until Saturday. Max was one on Saturday. Alex organised the big birthday party, right? And I was like, oh my God. The boys were like, we're going to have to strip this all again and even more. Jesus Christ. So on Thursday night, the parts are in Northampton, because I was like, right, I can't, I have to have this fixed tomorrow night. So I was like, I'm going to have to drive to Northampton tonight, throughout the night, to be there for 8 o'clock in the morning to pick these parts up and drive up the road. So as I was driving home to break this news to my wife, I went on my phone. I was like, right, same day deliveries in Northampton, because I thought, well, may as well pick Northampton because that's where the parts are. And it pops up on my phone, in a flash, couriers. I was like, right, let's give this boy a phone. Phone them, honestly, like 9 o'clock. And the most lovely guy answers the phone, right? And he's like, "Oh, how are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm in a bit of a pickle." I said, "Have you got anybody free to deliver parts from Northampton tomorrow morning up to Dundee?" He was like, "Did I hear you correct? Did you say Dundee?" And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Jesus Christ, I'm going to be popular with my drivers tomorrow." And I was like, "This is a Friday, you see." So anyway, he's sitting there. He's like, "Right, are you sitting down, young sir? Because this is going to be bloody expensive." And I'm like, "Oh fuck, what are we talking?"
You're like, "Nah, it's not. Nah, it's
not." Name your price, my good man. Name your price.
I'll give you 10 G's if it's here by lunchtime.
I don't want to give it away. And I was like, "Oh, right." He's like, £500. I was like, for a
done.
You sure you can't do 450?
for a 15-hour round trip, I was like sold. So anyway, we started in the morning, stripping the engine back down again, and then discovered we had to strip more of all the inlet manifold up into the intercooler because these bits had gone everywhere, up on top of the engine, and we just stripped all that, got it cleaned. The boy turned up at 3:30 on Friday afternoon, right? We got the bits fitted in. Pretty, like, I felt so sorry for the boy because he literally turned up, jumped out his van, and he went, "Oh, that's some journey." Handed me the parts. He was like, "Sign here on this bit of paper." Signed there. He jumped back in his van and he took off back down to Northampton.
Didn't even get a cup of tea.
No, didn't even get a cup of tea. So we got it all up and running, got it fixed, and we were starting to get a flow. So we all knew what we were doing. Every three of us all knew our jobs, so we're all doing bits and pieces. I was putting the cylinder head back on. The boys were connecting the manifolds, put the sump back in, all that buzz. Done by 6 o'clock. Just in time for Mum and Dad had turned up with a fish and chip suppers because I thought this was going to be until like 10 o'clock at night, John, right? So anyway, we were like, right. I was like, I'm not switching this on until we've had our fish supper. Let me just enjoy something about the last 4 days. I was like, Saturday at Chippy. I was like, that dreaded, honestly, it's weird because I was saying to Mum, it's like, you know, when you don't fix it, the ignorance is bliss. You don't think about it. The service company goes, oh yeah, that's it. It's got a problem. It needs fixed. All right, fixed. Oh yeah, we fixed it. You're like, right, no boy, you go on with your day. But when you've done it, I'm like that. Right, this key, it's like the master key that kills engines. I was like, when I turn this that way, it's going to kick into life and it's going to try and start. Turned it, starts firing up, and there's no fire. Right, goes through the cycle again, tries to start 5 times again, no fire. I was like, shit, that's 10 times it's tried to start, no fire. Started it the third lot of 5, and it fired up the first time. It was ramping up. Next thing we know, massive temperature differences between the two valves, the two banks of cylinders at either side. Christ almighty. So we had to dick about. Turns out it was a completely like non-related issue. So we got that sorted. Right, fired it back up. This is about 9:30 at night. And I'm thinking, like, please just be right. Fired it up. We'll have a wee look around it. All of a sudden, we see this drip of oil coming from underneath the engine. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, please be a slack pipe or something. Well, what had happened?
I would have thrown the towel in, Jim, honestly. Fuck it.
Well, when we took the sump off of it, we noticed that one of the metal braided hoses had either got nipped somewhere, maybe somebody had leaned on it or would drop something. And the guy that was helping was like, we better switch this thing off tonight because we don't want that hose bursting and oil going everywhere. So I was like, right. I was like, we've got people coming around at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. I've got to go and we get it. And it was a very special convoluted stainless steel reinforced hose. I was like, God almighty.
You phoned the lad in Northampton and said, mate, you got another tip in there.
Here's another 500.
I should have woke up in the morning, took off, got this pipe made, got it started and fired up and just away and running. But I'm telling you, I swear to God, right, and mark this as my word, if anybody says that biogas is an easy gig, and it's like wind turbines, and because it falls under the renewable category, it must be this like a coin in change.
Money for old rope, Jim. It's a piece of piss.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's money for old rope going the opposite way, Sandy. Like it's going the opposite way.
I must say, you do make turbines sound attractive, Jim, just by your stories.
Honestly,
this isn't a sale. You're not selling this to anybody, Jim. And Nick, just for reference, if you're looking for sponsorship for the podcast, don't approach any biogas firms because I don't think they're going to buy it.
No.
They're all broke.
No. Yeah. The only people that win out of this gig is the service companies. I tell you that for free. Jesus, it's so funny because I was deliberating about buying a new potato trailer for ages. I'm like, I could do with a fourth one, but a fifth one, sorry. And I was like, I could do with a decent, like another one. And I could just, got to stretch it. And then I ordered parts for the engine that come to like 3/4 of what a potato trailer is for like a couple of spare parts. And it's like,
Jesus,
it just is frighteningly scary. Like, frighteningly scary.
But would you say that 90% of the issues with that biogas plant have come out of that engine? Because that's the second or third time it's gone down, isn't it?
Yeah, so basically what happens is it's actually not far, it's not far away at all from being due. So it's got intervals of services, right? So there's like 2,000 hour service, and then they do one at 25,000 hours. No, 28,000 hours. It's like an overhaul of all the pistons, all the corn rods, all the big end bearings, liners, heads, gaskets, you name it. That service should be done at 25,000 hours. That, like, I've had the most grief in the last 3,000 hours out of that engine than I have, like.
But it's because it's running 24/7, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's like having a car engine, because I remember watching them test car engines, and they'll run them for 150,000 miles, but they will literally put it on one of those, one of those platforms with the cylinders in the ground, so the car doesn't move. They'll rack it up, and they will literally just they will run it at 8,000 revs, and the thing will just be going absolutely flat out, and they'll run it for about 150,000 miles in about 3 weeks and see how the engine performs. But that's only for like 3 weeks, whereas you're doing that for effectively like.
Can I tell you, my Land Rover's back in the garage again, and it's really fucked this time. If it was on that thing to try and get to 150,000 miles and get to about 3,000 miles, do not buy a Land Rover.
They're not getting great street cred at the moment, to be honest.
Oh mate, honestly, we literally got it out the garage last month. It's back. We're driving along, and it literally.
Let me guess. Is it engine management light keeps coming on?
No, it just died. It literally died. We had to tow it to the garage, and no idea why. It just stopped working.
Is that by any chance the 2-litre twin turbo diesel engine? That one that's in that.
Yeah.
Are you expecting Nick to know that, Jim?
It's
they are the worst engines that are Land Rover.
Apparently, it's going to be £12,000 to fix it.
Jesus, what's the car worth? It's hardly worth that, is it?
Hey,
exactly.
This is where you have to start using your social standing these days and start calling them out on social media, mate.
That's it. It's like, look, mate, if you don't charge me half that, I'm going to call you out to my 6 followers.
What amazes me, though, is that, like, especially down this neck of the woods, you get so many people run around in 120, 150 grand Range Rovers, like all sports edition, all this sort of stuff. But as you say, they're absolutely awful cars. Like, I've never heard anybody have a good review about a recent discovery of Range Rover.
Can I tell you?
Go on.
That, so I bought a Mercedes because it was, different from Land Rovers and all that. A Land Rover had so many problems. I thought, no, Mercedes are good. The Mercedes itself is good. I've had a couple of issues with the coolant pump on it, but nothing drastic at all. A Mercedes backup is so good. Like, they will literally be at you within, if I break down, they will literally be with me within like an hour, and they've got a courtesy car there. It's brilliant. But tires, keeping this sort of Sandy, the back tires on this thing are a 325s, right? They are massive. 7,000 miles. 7,000 miles. 7,000 miles. That's all I'm getting out of set tires. 7,000 miles. And I'm not.
So you have to change them every year.
And Alex is driving it like less than a year.
Why?
Like,
she's drag racing.
No, she's like a really good canny driver. You know what I mean? Like, not heavy in the
she's quick off the line and the lights are forth for fucking boom.
She tells Jim she's going to work, but she's competing in like desert rallies and stuff.
Off the Knock Hill. I couldn't believe it. Honestly, 7,000 miles.
Yeah,
that is fucking awful.
My wife does that in a week in our car.
£295 a pop.
Jesus Christ!
And I was like,
"Say what?
290."
No wonder you try to get. No wonder you try to get that gas plant going all the time. They meant your tires.
No wonder I'm shooting on these little bad boys like the.
You must be running the like fucking 1-inch rims in those bad boys, though, Jim. That's a punchy tire at £295 a pop.
They're
low profile.
325s by 40 by 22s. Rolling
Of
on the
course they are.
22.
I was going to say, yes, black rims.
Oh,
Total lad.
man. Honestly. And the guy, my tire boy, because I was like, look, you got to get these back to Continental. I was like, this is a disaster. I was like, there's a failure. They've got a failure in the workshop. And he's like, no. I was like, he's like, these big cars. He's like, to be honest, he looked at them. He's like, the tire's graining in one direction, so they're pulling. And it's to do with the air suspension. So the way the air suspension will work is you watch sometimes the cars, the back wheels will maybe sit in a wee bit of an angle.
Oh, aye.
So that they're not running true because the air suspension allows them to like flex like this
Bend a
more.
wee bit.
So then they scrub it. It's always trying to drag the tire across. And I was
You
like,
see, that's the thing. You want to go back to basics. You want to go back to levers and pedals, no electronics, just simple. You go back to a Series 1 Defender. You could run that thing for 250,000 miles. Wouldn't even cough.
A Defender.
Oh,
Sandy,
listen to
you've never driven a Series 1. You're giving it the big one. Like
No.
the big
I've never driven a Series 1, but I've driven plenty of Defenders. And all the Defenders, there are at least 100,000 miles on them.
Nick, the only reason he comes away with this information is because he's an avid watcher of Monica the Glen. He loves he gets all his
Hugh Fairley Whittingstall. Thanks very much, Jim.
he gets all his Scottish heritage information from Monica the Glen.
To be fair, I loved Lexi.
Oh,
big fan.
Great show, to be fair. Monica the Glen was an absolute cracker.
So what? It's only taken him 15 seconds to turncoat on it until it ripped me for it and then be like, oh,
I mean, you're still a joke for getting your Land Rover advice from Monica the Glen, but, you know, at least Lexi's on this a lot.
You
can't argue with that, to be fair, Nick.
What was the gilly called? Was it Gilly Willy?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I ever watched it.
Have you never watched Monica the Glen?
I can't remember it.
Mate,
I probably did back in the day.
It's worth watching.
Get yourself on Amazon and get it bought.
Yeah, it's decent.
It's fantastic.
Do you think I've got time to be sitting watching Monica the Glen?
Yeah, no, I do. I do think you've got that time. Absolutely.
Wait, is that not all you do? Watch computer screens? Is that not why you?
No, that is true. Yeah. I can't compete with Nick's media calls that are coming in left, right, and centre at the minute. How's your PA coping these days?
He's
now?
my PA.